Helen beamed, ignoring the chaos. He's such a gentleman. He takes such good care of the girls. He's like a brother to them. A very confused, non-threatening brother. Somehow, Helen's sincerity and a few white lies about Jack's condition softened the Reverend's heart. He didn't drag Chrissy away, though he did insist on leading a 3-hour prayer session for Jack's recovery. As the Reverend left, Jack collapsed onto the couch, still wearing the apron. Next time your father visits, Chrissy, tell him I've joined a monastery in Tibet. Chapter 6. The Great Soulful Scandal. Jack's culinary career was the backbone of his pride, but it was also the source of his greatest anxieties. The final exam for advanced pastries was approaching, and the challenge was the dreaded chocolate souffle. It has to rise, Jack muttered, pacing the kitchen with a whisk in his hand like a weapon. If it falls, my career is toast. Burnt toast. Jana and Chrissy were banned from the kitchen. Don't even breathe near the oven. Jack warned. The vibrations will kill the air bubbles. Naturally, this was the exact moment the Ropers chose to have a domestic dispute that could be heard through the floorboards. Stanley, I told you not to use the good towels for the dog. Helen's voice drifted up, punctuated by the rhythmic thumping of Stanley's footsteps. The dog likes the thread count. Helen. Upstairs, Jack was sweating. He carefully slid the ceramic ramekins into the oven. Now, he whispered. Total silence. He sat on a stool, staring at the oven door as if he could keep the souffles up by sheer force of will. Jana and Chrissy huddled in the living room, afraid to move. A knock at the door shattered the silence. Don't answer it, Jack hissed. The knock came again, louder this time. Then the door flew open. It was Larry, looking like a man who had just escaped a high-speed chase. Jack, buddy, you gotta hide me, Larry shouted, slamming the door. The vibration made the oven racks rattle. Jack let out a strangled cry. The bubbles. My bubbles. The IRS is after me. Jack, it's all a misunderstanding about a fleet of Pintos. Larry ducked behind the couch. Get out. Larry, get out. Jack scrambled toward the oven, peering through the glass. The souffles were still holding, but they looked nervous. Then, the final blow. Stanley Roper appeared on the balcony, having used a ladder to inspect the gutters, though he was mostly peeping at the neighbor again. He tapped loudly on the glass door. Hey, you kids seen my hammer? Jack collapsed. He watched as the chocolate peaks in the oven began to sag, then deflate into sad, brown puddles. My life is over, Jack moaned, sliding to the floor. I'll be a short-order cook at a greasy spoon for the rest of my days. I'll have Tripper's burgers and Jack's slop on the menu. But Jana, always the pragmatist, wasn't having it. Jack, get up. We're going to fix this. How? You can't uncollapse a sofa. No. But you can turn it into deconstructed chocolate mousse with a hint of fallen angel, Jana said, her eyes sparkling. It's very trendy in San Francisco right now. They spent the next hour plating the accidents with mint leaves and a dash of powdered sugar. When Jack presented the dish to his professor the next day, he leaned into the not interested persona, adding a dash of artistic flair. It is a commentary on the fragility of the human ego, Jack explained with a straight face. He got an A. That night, they celebrated at the Regal Beagle. Larry bought a round of drinks with money that may or may not have been destined for the government, and Stanley complained that his dessert tasted like fancy mud. But it's the best mud you've ever had, Stanley, Helen said, clinking her glass against Jack's. And in apartment 201, the laughter echoed once more. A fragile but perfect rise in the unpredictable oven of life. Chapter 7, The Double Date Disaster. The concept of a secret date was something Larry Dallas excelled at, and something Jack Tripper should have avoided like a faulty gas stove. "Look, Jack," Larry said, leaning against the kitchen counter while Jack chopped onions with manic precision. "It's a double date. My girl has a roommate. She's a dancer. She's graceful. She doesn't talk about war stories or leaky faucets." Jack hesitated. "Larry, you know the situation. If Roper sees me out with a girl, I'm back at the YMCA by midnight. Roper is going to a landlord convention in Glendale tonight," Larry promised, flashing a used car salesman grin. "He'll be busy comparing eviction notices and polyester suits. He won't be anywhere near the Blue Parrot." Reluctantly, Jack agreed. He donned his best velvet sports coat of deep burgundy that screamed 1977 and practiced his not on at 8 face in the hallway mirror. Meanwhile, in the living room, Jana was getting ready for her own evening out. A guy from the Florist Association, she told Chrissy, who was busy trying to untangle a hairbrush from her own curls. "Very respectable. Very boring. Just the way I like them after a week with you two." The disaster began to unfold at the Blue Parrot. Jack and Larry were seated in a corner booth, Jack nervously scanning the room like a fugitive. His date, Linda, was indeed a dancer, meaning she spent most of the appetizers demonstrating leg stretches that nearly took out the waiter's tray. And 5, 6, 7, 8, Linda whispered, her heel narrowly missing Jack's nose. "Lovely, really lovely," Jack stammered, ducking. That was when he saw them. Jana and her date, a man who looked like he had been carved out of balsa wood, were being seated exactly 3 tables away. "Larry, down! Get down!" Jack hissed, sliding so far under the table he was practically at Linda's shins. "What are you doing? Is it a cockroach?" Linda asked, peering under the tablecloth. "No, it's a social convention." Jack scrambled back up, grabbing a menu to cover his face. "I always eat like this in French-style restaurants." For the next hour, Jack performed a series of increasingly frantic maneuvers. Every time Jana looked in his direction, he dove under the table, hid behind a giant fern, or swapped seats with Larry. At one point, he even tried to pretend he was part of the roving mariachi band, humming along desperately to Guam.